Hello everyone, welcome to another topic in our podcast series. My name is Robin Dolezal, and with me as always is Alex Pars and David Renzi. Together we are with Ironwood Financial. A common question we get from clients often who come in is, should my advisor be a CFP? So Alex, let's first start by defining what is CFP mean?
CFP is a certified financial planner. And what it means is you've gone through a series of tests and have a certain experience requirement to be able to use those designations. Then you have to have continuing education every couple years, as well as sign an ethics questionnaire, which means that you're doing certain things and make sure that if any complaints or any problems show up, you're reporting it to them, and they are kind of like a little watchdog. So one of the things to me that a CFP means is that you have taken the time to further your studies. Okay, so a lot of people, they don't know this, but in order to be a financial advisor in the same capacity we are, it's one test. You know, I think this test took me 4 hours of studying, maybe 5, and I think it was a 45-minute test. So it's not, when you see financial advisor out there, anyone can hang their hat and say, I'm a financial advisor. That doesn't mean they know anything. Okay? It may mean that they're good at the track and can pick the right pony, so they think they know everything, but maybe not. So one way to distinguish between people who don't necessarily know anything and people who definitely know at least something is by looking at professional designations. And CFP is a very common and well-respected designation. Again, experience requirements, testing requirements. I think, how long was the test? Do you remember?
I think it was a 2-day test.
So it's a rigorous test. A lot of people, not everyone passes, and it takes quite a bit of time to even qualify for the test.
So I want to jump in here, Alex. I mean, there's tons of designations that an advisor can get. One of the most common ones, as you just mentioned, is CFP. So if a client usually comes to me and we start talking about designations, first off, I'll say, yeah, if you're an advisor that you will come across has a designation, that's great, because that obviously means that they've gone the extra length to study and to hone their craft in whatever niche that might be. What I really enjoy, though, about a CFP is that how broad it is, right? Some designations really just focus on such a minute part of our financial industry or financial world. The CFP really means that they've gone deep into everything, whether it's retirement planning, investment planning, etc., you name it. So the CFP is probably the one that I would recommend clients look for in an advisor, and one that's really the most popular designation that a client might recognize as well.
And that's another thing to point out, as you mentioned, is that there are a lot of designations out there, and some of them are granted by the company they work for. Some of them are, more focused on insurance. Some of them are more focused on investments. You name it. There are other more narrow and potentially less stringent. I know over the years we've seen designations that came and went. So somebody had a particular designation and then it got some bad press because it turned out it was an open book test and the questions were along the lines of, is it okay to steal from your clients? So not every designation is created equal. There are definitely more difficult ones. And I think CFP is probably in the top 2 or 3 most difficult ones in our industry.
All right, so David, give us an example of another designation that you think would be in that top tier.
I think the top 2 designations that you should be on the lookout for are either CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, and CFP. I think the combination of either one of the 2 of those are really important for the client. Those seem to be the most stringent in terms of their education and experience requirements, as well as their continuing. The CFA doesn't have a continuing education requirement, but you do have to sign the ethics and disclose everything every year. You do have to sign an ethics, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a statement essentially. And you're saying, hey, nothing in my situation has changed. I have 0 complaints from clients. I'm continuing to provide a good service to my clients and agree that you haven't been convicted of any crimes. And I believe a similar process is required for the CFP that says, hey, I've completed my continuing education for this year. I keep up to date with the current tax laws and things that may have changed in the investment world, as well as I don't have any client complaints to disclose. So those 2 are really the big ones. And it's very important that you find an advisor who is committed to staying up to date with the latest trends and or laws in the investment world. Now, you can check all of these designations on the FINRA website. So you can Google the designation and then put FINRA, and it'll tell you, hey, these are the experience requirements that really go into these. And that's where you can get an idea of, is it a valuable designation or is it just something somebody did to get some letters behind their name?
Well, I was going to say I personally have the CFP designation, but I kind of want to brag about my colleagues here a little bit because two of them here on this podcast may have actually had the CFA designation as well. And I will say that the CFA may not be as, we'll call it client focused, but it is very much focused on our industry and learning the different investments, the different products that really does help our clients in the end result. CFP is going to be something more common for clients to recognize, and CFA is going to be something more common that people in our peers will recognize. But both of them, I would agree with you, are probably on that top tier level as far as prestigious designations in the industry. Alex, I got a question for you. This doesn't come up often, but it has come up. If you hire a CFP, does a CFP cost more to hire?
Generally, no, not that we've seen. It's more a signal that they're committed to the industry. I mean, these are not things that you just do. You have to go out of your way to self-study and go take a 2-day test. In the case of the CFA test, I mean, I think takes 3 years of annual testing, although they may change that. And I think the pass rate is something like 40 or 50% for the first year, 60% or so from the second, and maybe 70% from the third. So the number of people who start the program compared to the people who finish it is very, very low, and it takes a lot of study. I would equivalate that test as taking maybe the equivalent of a full-time semester of college just to take one of those tests. And it is a self-study test. You do it while you're working on weekends and evenings. So when you see someone with one of these designations, it means they've put in a fair amount of effort. And it means that they're committed to learning.
It means they did it before kids.
Could be.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of an important thing, right? I mean, it is definitely tougher for advisors starting later in their career when they have those obligations. I mean, I'm definitely happy that I did this study for the test and completed everything before any kids were born. I know that my wife was pretty upset. My girlfriend at the time, she wasn't very excited that I was studying for all of these hours and taking all of these tests for the 3 years. But now that it's done, it was definitely worth the effort for sure.
Right. So I want to say, guys, that if someone's asking us about designations, I think designations in general are a good thing. It proves, as Alex just mentioned, that you see an advisor who's actually going above and beyond, doing the extra study. But having said that, CFP, even the CFA, I would say are the two top designations in this industry. For someone who's looking for a financial advisor, that's probably the one that you're going to look for, and you should ask about. If you're searching for advisors, be candid and ask them if they've got the CFP designation. Well, thanks, guys. Folks, we are Ironwood Financial. If you have any questions, you can reach us at www.ironwoodfinancial.com. If you've got other topics you'd like us to talk about, please let us know. You can also reach us at 520-318-4600. Until next time, thanks for watching.